In 1492, Christopher Columbus, funded by Spain, embarked on a voyage that would alter history. Columbus sought a westward route to Asia for trade. His journey led him to the Americas, unknown to Europeans. Columbus's arrival marked the beginning of European exploration and colonization. Following the initial wave of exploration, European powers began establishing permanent settlements in the Americas. Spain, with its early successes in the Caribbean and South America, emerged as a dominant force. Spanish conquistadors carved out vast colonies, exploiting the land and its people for their riches. They established a system of encomienda, a brutal form of forced labor that enslaved indigenous populations. Spanish priests, driven by a desire to convert the native people to Christianity, also played a significant role in the colonization process. While Spain dominated the South, other European powers, including France, the Netherlands, and England, began establishing their own colonies in North America. The French, focused on the fur trade, established settlements along the St. Lawrence River and the Great Lakes region. They forged alliances with Native American tribes, engaging in mutually beneficial trade relationships. The Dutch, seeking commercial opportunities, established New Netherland, a colony centered around present-day New York City. England, facing internal conflicts and economic pressures, was slower to establish a significant colonial presence. However, by the early 17th century, English settlements began to dot the eastern coast of North America, marking the beginning of what would become the 13 colonies. Europeans ventured across the Atlantic for various reasons. Religious freedom was a powerful pull. England faced religious strife and persecution. Pilgrims established Plymouth Colony in 1620. Puritans founded Massachusetts Bay Colony in 1630. Economic opportunities also drove migration. The Americas offered vast tracts of land. Merchants saw profit in fur, timber, and tobacco. Religious freedom, economic opportunity, and adventure drew Europeans to North America. The initial interactions between European settlers and Native Americans were often marked by a mixture of curiosity, caution, and misunderstanding. Native Americans, with their deep-rooted connections to the land and their distinct cultures and languages, viewed the newcomers with a mix of wonder and apprehension. Europeans, accustomed to their own ways of life, often struggled to comprehend the complex social structures, spiritual beliefs, and land-use practices of the indigenous populations. In some cases, these early encounters led to the establishment of trading partnerships. Native Americans, skilled hunters and trappers, provided Europeans with valuable furs in exchange for metal tools, textiles, and other goods. These exchanges, while seemingly mutually beneficial, often masked underlying tensions and power imbalances. Europeans, driven by their own economic interests, often sought to maximize their profits, sometimes exploiting Native American labor or resources. Moreover, cultural differences, particularly in the understanding of land ownership and resource management, often led to misunderstandings and conflicts. Section 5. Invisible killers. European diseases ravage native populations. One of the most devastating consequences of European contact was the introduction of diseases to which Native Americans had no immunity. Diseases like smallpox, measles, and influenza, common in Europe but unknown in the Americas, ripped through Native American populations with terrifying speed and ferocity. These diseases, carried by European settlers and spread through trade routes, decimated entire villages and tribes. The indigenous populations, with no prior exposure and thus no immunity to these diseases, suffered mortality rates far exceeding those experienced by Europeans. The impact of these epidemics on Native American populations was nothing short of catastrophic. Entire communities were wiped out, their populations decimated within a generation. The loss of life not only resulted in a demographic collapse, but also led to a profound social and cultural upheaval. Elders who held vital knowledge and traditions perished, leaving a void in leadership and cultural transmission. The fabric of Native American societies, woven over centuries, was torn apart by the onslaught of these invisible killers. Section 6. The Fury Unleashed. Wars of Conquest and Displacement. As European settlements expanded and their demand for land and resources grew, conflicts with Native Americans became increasingly frequent and violent. Europeans, driven by a sense of superiority and a belief in their right to claim the land, often resorted to force to displace Native Americans from their ancestral territories. Native Americans, defending their homelands, their ways of life, and their very existence, resisted these encroachments, leading to a series of bloody conflicts. These conflicts were marked by brutality and savagery on both sides. Europeans, armed with guns and cannons, possessed a technological advantage that often proved decisive. Native Americans, skilled warriors who knew the land intimately, engaged in guerrilla warfare, using their knowledge of the terrain to their advantage. However, the Europeans' superior firepower and their willingness to engage in scorched earth tactics often proved overwhelming. The result was a series of devastating wars that left a legacy of bloodshed and resentment. Section 7. Scars on the Land. The Pequot War and the Devastation of New England. The Pequot War, fought in New England between 1636 and 1638, stands as a chilling example of the brutality of these conflicts. The war erupted from a series of escalating tensions between English colonists and the Pequot tribe over trade, land, and political dominance. The conflict culminated in the Mystic Massacre, a horrific event in which English soldiers and their Native American allies attacked a Pequot village, slaughtering hundreds of men, women, and children. The Pequot War resulted in the near annihilation of the Pequot tribe. Survivors were either killed, enslaved, or dispersed to live among other tribes. The war marked a turning point in English Native American relations in New England, establishing a pattern of English dominance and Native American dispossession that would continue for generations. The war also demonstrated the devastating consequences of European warfare tactics, which often targeted non-combatants and sought to inflict maximum terror. Section 8. The South in Flames, Bacon's Rebellion, and the Powhatan Wars. In Virginia, the Powhatan Wars erupted between English colonists and the Powhatan Confederacy. The First War began in 1609 and ended with Pocahontas marrying John Rolfe. The Second War, from 1622 to 1632, led to further devastation for the Powhatan. Bacon's Rebellion in 1676 highlighted ongoing tensions with Native Americans. Nathaniel Bacon led a rebellion against Governor Berkeley, attacking Native American villages. Though suppressed, the rebellion revealed deep-seated racism and violence in English-Native American relations. Section 9. A Legacy of Loss. The depopulation and dispossession of Native Americans. The consequences of European colonization for Native Americans were nothing short of catastrophic. Diseases, warfare, and displacement led to a dramatic decline in Native American populations. While estimates vary, it is believed that tens of millions of Native Americans may have perished in the centuries following European contact. This demographic collapse had a profound impact on Native American societies, decimating their populations, shattering their cultures, and transforming their relationship with the land. Beyond the immediate loss of life, European colonization led to the dispossession of Native Americans from their ancestral lands. Treaties, often signed under duress or broken outright, forced Native Americans onto reservations, often on less desirable land. This forced removal disrupted traditional ways of life, separated communities, and led to economic hardship. The cultural and spiritual practices of Native Americans were also under assault, as European missionaries sought to convert them to Christianity and suppress their traditional beliefs. Section 10. A World Transformed. The Enduring Impact of European Colonization. The arrival of Europeans in the Americas and their subsequent colonization of the land had a profound and enduring impact on the course of history. It led to the exchange of goods, ideas, and people between the Eastern and Western hemispheres, forever altering the global landscape. However, this exchange was far from equal. European colonization came at a tremendous cost, paid for in the lives and cultures of the indigenous peoples of the Americas. The legacy of European colonization continues to shape the Americas today. The descendants of European colonists and enslaved Africans make up a significant portion of the population in North and South America. Native Americans, though their numbers have rebounded in recent decades, still face challenges related to poverty, discrimination, and the preservation of their cultures. Recognizing the full scope of the impact of European colonization, both the positive and the negative, is essential for understanding the complexities of the Americas past and present. It is a history marked by both tragedy and resilience, a history that continues to shape the world we live in today.